going on, Raider Nation? Shout out to the chat here on YouTube, and shout out to everyone tuning in for the post-produced podcast. This is episode 98, being brought to you by Blue Wire, Thera1 CBD, DealDash.com, and NFL Sunday Ticket. Make sure you guys are listening on your favorite podcast platform after this show, after this live show, to catch all these special offers for you guys. If you're not watching this live and not getting involved in the chat, I'm not sure what else to tell you. We're going to be on Twitch next week. We're on YouTube now. We're Periscope, Twitter, Facebook. We're all over the place. And shout out to the chat. People who've been in here for a couple hours already talking it up. What's up, Diego? Diego and Diego. We got both Diegos in here every single week. D-Mag, Roy, Jake, 509 Raider got the moderators in here. And I will say, pre-warning, I've heard of power outages in my area tonight, all the way up until 10 o'clock. So let's hope that we are not a part of the power outage tonight, but nothing's going to stop this freight train right now, because I will tell you, tonight I am fired up to talk about training camp, like for real. Like we've been getting into this. We've been waiting. Last week we kind of had a primer. Vets are getting in the building, but now we finished off, these last couple days with teams going full speed. We had helmets on. These guys are, starting to actually play some football here. So in order for me to cover this correctly and, to the maximum for you, for the viewers, for the listeners, I can't do this by myself sitting here. I want to bring in an insider perspective, and I'm not going to mess around. We're talking training camp. We're getting down to business. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders coming back, baby, winning some football games. And there's one guy here that I know can get us fired up, and we're going to switch on over to him. And that's my guy, Hondo Carpenter, coming in live with the Stage Door Casino Hotline. Hondo, what is going on?
Hey, buddy, thanks for having me. It's always a joy to get the chance to talk Raider football, and I just want to say to all of the fans who go to our website and click it, follow on Twitter, read everything that we write. Without you, I don't have a job. I'm not entitled to this job. I work for the people that read. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. I'm thankful for you. You're my bosses, and I appreciate all that you guys allow me to do.
Good stuff, Hondo. I'm telling you, this is something unique for you, something new, coming to Las Vegas to cover a football team. I want to know. I want to talk about the team here in just a second, but first I want to get your opinion. The last couple of weeks you've been there. You've been in Henderson. Tell us about that beautiful facility and about our front office a little bit.
Well, covering football isn't unique for me, and covering NFL isn't unique. That's what I've done as a journalist, but covering the Raiders is. I will tell you this, I've been to many of the facilities in the NFL. It is by far the best. It's absolutely stunning. It's exactly what you would expect from Al Davis. And I understand he's not here, but Mark's his seed. It is stunning. It is perfect. It is pristine. They spared not any expense, not a dime. If they needed it, it's in there. If they may need it, it's in there. It's something that the Raiders deserve. And I want to say this. I appreciate the city of Oakland. I love the city of Oakland. I know that Oakland gets a bad rap. But the Raiders aren't in Oakland tonight, not because of the fans. They're not in there because of the government. And you know what? Vegas stepped up. They knew how valuable the Raiders were. And I'm going to say this, for a long time, whether it was Los Angeles or Oakland, they treated the Raiders, which is the premier franchise in all of professional sports. And, the Raiders changed professional sports. And they treated them like the hot girl who's, all of a sudden she gets the husband who treats her like trash, and everyone's like, what is he thinking? She's out of his league. And he treats her like trash, and all of a sudden when he's like, yeah, you couldn't do better than me, and all of a sudden the one guy comes in and said, yeah, you can, baby, and she gone. And I'm going to tell you this, everybody who treated the Raiders like crap sees exactly how they should have been treated. Las Vegas came in, said, you are our number one pick, you're the NFL team we want, you're the belle of the ball, you're the premier, first-rate professional sports organization. We're going to treat you like it, and they're here, and they'll never go anywhere else.
I love it. I love it. This is, like I said, for everyone in the chat, everyone viewing, everyone listening to the podcast afterwards, this is an insider's perspective. So if you're in the live chat, feel free, if you want to drop, utilize that super chat, and I will be sure to fire something off here for our guy Hondo. He is ready. He is locked and loaded. He's fired up on some Raiders football. And I will say right now, I have a little bit of an advantage with this conversation and this topic because I just woke up this morning to a fantastic article on Sports Illustrated, the the Raven. So we're going to be, I guess, previewing that a little bit now. But there's a link in the description. Make sure if you're watching this, go down in that description. There's a link, Hondo's latest article talking about training camp, and there's a lot more details in there for you guys to check it out. But Hondo, I got some topics for you. First one I want to know about Derek Carr. He's been a hot topic lately. I want to know a little bit. Maybe, what's his talent been like out there on the practice field? Maybe some of the connections with some of his young guys.
Well, let me say this first of all, and I understand because if I'm not a doctor, so I can't explain medical things, and I'm not a lawyer, I can't explain legal things, but I am a journalist, and I don't expect fans to understand media things. So I want to explain to fans something. There are some media, and sadly it's many, not all, but many, that operate with a mentality of clickbait. As long as you click that website so they get unique views, they're thrilled, and they'll write whatever they have to write. I told this story once. I remember being in a press box once, and a very famous journalist that I would say that 99% of your viewers or watchers would know who he was, literally made a joke in a press box saying, "What is the most outrageous thing I can write tomorrow that these people will click and bite on?" And I literally wanted to vomit. And I went to him and said, "You know what? That's a disgrace. Mm-hmm. If you don't feel it, don't write it." Now, I'm going to say this. I have had the privilege several times in my life of meeting Stephen A. Smith. I like him a lot. I think he's a good guy. I think some of his takes are outlandish. But I'm going to tell you why I like Stephen A. Smith. Because whether or not you agree with him, he's telling you what he thinks. He puts his name next to what he believes. And I've been and had conversations with him privately where he could have said what that guy said in the press box, and he was defending what he believed. That's integrity. That's integrity. I don't care if I agree with everybody, but have integrity. And so what happens is because the Raider Nation is so mammoth, people know they can throw an article up and it's going to get a ton of clicks. And the more, if it causes controversy, it's going to get more clicks. So here was the rap on Derek Carr. And everybody's seen it. He doesn't have arm strength. He makes poor decisions. He's got to do better with his feet. So would you agree with me, Cody? Those are the three biggest criticisms of Derek. Would you agree or disagree?
I'd agree, yeah.
Okay, so I want to address all three. Okay? Number one, the guy had less than double-digit interceptions last year on a team where I thought, and this will be too old for you, but some of your older listeners are going to get it, Radar O'Reilly was going to have to play because it looked like a MASH unit. Go back and Google it later, Cody. You'll thank me for it. Okay? Because there's linemen injured, offensive players injured, receivers injured. They signed the best wide receiver in the league, and he totally blows up. So that's not Derek Carr's fault. And so when I reached out to management at other NFL teams, some of them who beat the Raiders last year, and they're like, I don't get this criticism of this guy. Do they not look? We loaded the box, so Josh Jacobs couldn't beat us, and if it was a pass, we were going to have pressure all over Derek Carr, so he couldn't get the ball away. And so they're saying, he made some bad throws. Well, I'm going to address both of those. Two quick things. In the John Gruden system, he wants you to sit in the pocket till the last second, and then you throw to a spot. So if he throws to a spot and the person's not there, that's not on Derek Carr. But Derek Carr isn't going to go into the into the press conference room and say, XYZ is a loser, he's slow, he shouldn't be on this team, but our top guys are all injured. Derek Carr's got too much character. So Derek Carr walks in and goes, "Man, I wish I could have that one back. Yeah, that one was on me." But anyone who knows football, which is not pundits sipping mimosas in the morning and pontificating at night, anyone who knows football knows, well, that's the Gruden system. That one's not on him. But when you look at under double-digit turnover, I'm talking about interceptions, that is phenomenal. That's not good. That's phenomenal. I talked to 3 upper management people at 3 different teams who all said, hey, we would all love to have a quarterback who has less than double-digit interceptions, especially on a beat-up team like Derek had. Okay, so number one, that addresses your comment about Derek Carr's turnovers. Second, his feet. Okay, you're right. He didn't run a lot last year. That's not what he does. Now, does he need to create more? Yes, when it's broken down. But it's hard when you've got 350-pound offensive linemen breathing down your neck to be able to take off when your coach is saying stay in the pocket till the last second. Okay? So let's give him credit where credit's due. He's trying to do, and these guys taking abuse. Go back. If you have a DVR, look at the old Raider games. Watch how many times he threw the ball away at the last second and got pummeled. Pummeled. But nobody wants to talk about that because that doesn't show up in the stats. They say, well, Al Davis said, just win, baby. You're darn right he did. And Al Davis knew that he's got to have a much deeper roster than Derek Carr had to do it. Next, let's talk about arm strength, which is so stupid. Anyone complaining about Derek Carr's arm strength, you clearly don't know the game of football. You don't know it. And I don't want to hear from you, with your mysterious keyboard, strength. I'm just telling you the truth, and let me explain. So he's under pressure. He has no time from a beat-up offensive line. You can't throw a deep ball if you don't have time to wait for it to develop. You say, oh, he should be able to throw it in 2.3 seconds. Okay, great. But you have guys who shouldn't probably even be in the NFL or be a third-string wide receiver. Their name isn't Henry Ruggs. They're not going to be in the open field in 2 seconds down the field 50 yards. So I'm standing at practice watching him throw at practice the other day, and he throws a 56-yard strike. Folks, I don't mean to be rude, but weak-armed guys aren't throwing 56 yards.
And who was that to?
It's not. Now, I'm going to tell this whole story.
Okay.
So blazing down the field is Henry Ruggs. Now, Henry Ruggs is literally being accosted. And no offense to the defensive back, he got whooped. And a lot of people are going to get whooped because he's got speed. You can't teach speed. And so the defender has his left arm wrapped around Ruggs' left arm. I mean, he completely had it wrapped. And he had his right arm around his chest under his armpit, bringing him down. And on a 56-yard strike, there's about an 18-inch window that Carr had to throw into. Ruggs goes up with one hand and makes a catch as beautiful as Carr's throw. So you may say, listen, if you don't like Derek Carr, that's fine. You don't know him, but if you don't like him, that's fine. That doesn't make you a bad person. But if you don't like him, then say I don't like him. But when you say that he doesn't have the arm strength, you literally sound stupid because you don't know what you're talking about. And you know what? If you can't throw a 56-yard strike, if you don't have a receiver that can get there, and you can't throw a 56-yard strike if you have an offensive line that doesn't give you the time to get the ball there. I mean, there are other people involved in this. Derek Carr can't block, throw, and then run down the field and catch it. I'm sorry. People will say to me, you're a Carr apologist. Folks, I don't have a dog in this fight. I've been a journalist for many years. I've covered Big Ten football. I've covered NFL football. I have several friends that played for the Raiders. But I don't come into this. My son wasn't born wearing, come home from the hospital with a Raider towel. I'm just telling you the truth. My job is to tell the truth. If Derek Carr makes a terrible pass or throws a bad interception, I will write that. But the criticism that you're seeing, and I'm not mad at fans. I want you to hear this, Cody, because this isn't getting enough attention.
Okay.
I don't blame fans who are loyal, and they're called fans because they're fanatics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind those people for one reason, because they see experts and they think this is what the experts believe. So they believe it because they're fanatic about their team. But they're being misled. They're being clickbaited. And then they're believing something that isn't accurate. And that's sad. And that's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. And I'm going to say this to Raider fans. Do the Raiders need to be better this year than last year? Absolutely. They're deeper. They've got more. They're healthy. There are players that are not going to make this roster who are really good NFL players that are going to go play on other teams. And I want you to hear that because that's how you win championships. But I want to make something really super clear to you. They've got to be better than last year, and they should be. They should be. And if they're not, I'll write that because that's truth.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to write stuff. I had someone say to me, if you be critical of Carr, I know you're trying to make a name for yourself in this market. If you're more critical of Carr, people will click. I looked at him and said, and then I got to live with myself writing something I don't believe. Sorry, I won't do it. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to put my name on something I don't believe, but I'm man enough to put my name on something that I think is true. And at the end of the day, I understand fans. They care. They matter. They buy the gear. They get the tickets. They're out there getting the tattoos. They're painting their cars. You guys are awesome. I'm mad at the people who aren't buying that stuff but get paid to talk and are playing off that emotion. That's wrong. That's wrong. And I take a real serious issue with that. And I think, in my opinion, it's journalistic malfeasance. It's journalistic malpractice. I'm not going to tell your fans that you're going to love everything Hondo Carpenter writes at Sports Illustrated. You're not going to go to Raider Maven probably in like every single thing I write. But you're going to always know I'm telling you the truth. And I think people respect that, Cody. I think it's what made Al Davis great, is he told the truth, whether you liked it or not. And that's how I try to run my life. It's how I try to operate it. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you a truth bomb. Get ready. I'm your hope dealer. If you're a Raider fan, come get you some of this, because this is a better football team. I don't believe they're a Super Bowl team, but they are a playoff team. And this is a team that they're building for a future. They're not willing to sell the farm for this year. They're building methodically. They're absolutely building intelligently. They're not giving deals to guys they don't need to give deals to. They know what they've got coming up. They're building for the long haul. If you're a Raider fan and you're not excited right now, if your silver and blood isn't boiling to the point that you've got patched pirates showing up like measles on your face, then you're really probably a Kansas City Chief fan who's got a girlfriend or a wife that's a Raider fan, and you don't want to tick her off.
Hondo Carpenter coming here just spitting fire. I'm with you every step of the way here, Hondo, and you got me so amped. I'm like red in the face right now. Like I cannot be contained in this little 10x10 studio. I'm just like so fired up, and I love it. That was just one topic, and that was just one thing. And that's the whole goal, I think, of 2020. And I think Raider Nation would agree that, we're here to silence the critics. This is statement season. This is the time where we have all the tools. We have this little hiccup in the year 2020 because 2020 likes to, ruin everything. But when it comes to, the team, the product on the football field.
Well, hang on a second. Let me be the death angel to the NFL.
Okay.
Because the NFL, listen, I'm from Michigan. Nobody hates Detroit. Detroit isn't even on the radar. Detroit is the team that when you see them on your schedule, you circle it as a win. Okay? Nobody hates Detroit. But one thing that the Raiders have is the other 31 teams hate you. They don't dislike you. They don't think, oh, geez. They hate you. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. You want to be that guy. You know why they hate people like that? Because you win. Now, has it been a while? It has, and that's truthful. But they hate what it stands for. Mark Davis comes in and says, man, I love my dad. What a legacy. We're going back to that. And Mark Davis has done a masterful job. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to be the death angel here. Like it or not, NFL, the Raiders have built intelligently. They've taken no shortcuts. In 2020, and I wrote this early in the year, Cody, and you tell your fans if I'm lying, I went back and equated last year's record to the year before the Cowboys went on their playoff run and then went into the Super Bowl, the exact same record. I previewed all of it. It is eerily similar. I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying it to get clicks. I'm saying it because I believe it. To the rest of the NFL, the Raiders are back. Deal with it.
Yeah, let's go. Hondo, you got a new nickname. Someone in the chat here, you are now Hondo Deadeye Carpenter. You got everybody in your sights right now, and you're taking them down. Hondo, I got to know, one of the topics you wanted to hit on whenever it came to Derek, and this is something that we're the most fired up about, I think, this offseason, was the weapons that were added. You talked about him not taking enough risks or not taking enough chances. You talked about him escaping the pocket, taking those shots. Yes, he is. Yes, he's not afraid of taking those hits. Yes, he's not afraid of pressure. That's something he definitely improved in for 2019 that people won't realize. But if you go back and watch my video on Derek Carr from like 6 months ago, you'll see the numbers, the passer rating, the chances. His efficiency went up significantly in pressure during 2019.
Derek Carr said it best the other day, and he gets ripped in the media for it when he says, hey, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You know what? And if you listen, this is the thing about today's modern journalism that makes me literally want to violently vomit, is that you can take what Derek Carr said out of context. But if you watched it in context, what he literally said is he's tired of it.
Yeah.
And you know what? He had better stats last year than just a couple of years ago when everyone was praising him. But because the team around him wasn't better, they had a worse record. And guess what? The quarterback, right or wrong, is always going to get more crap or more praise than he deserves. So that's fine. But what you saw with Derek Carr, he wasn't being rude to the fans. He said, hey, I'm tired of being disrespected. And how do you fix it? Just win, baby. He embraced the Raider way.
Yeah.
But when the media takes it out of context, and then they make it sound like he was whining. There was no whining. Folks, I was on the press conference. There was no whining. It was, hey, I'm tired of it. How are we going to do? We're going to go get 1 trophy, 2 trophies, 3 trophies until they get rid of me. There was not one bit of whining. And here's the point. I'm not a Derek Carr apologist. I don't know Derek. It's not like he's my friend. I like him. I respect him as a man. I'm a man of faith. I love that he's a man of faith. But at the end of the day, just win, baby, is the motto of the Raiders. And I would say this to the national media, just tell the truth.
Agreed.
Okay? If the team stinks, you're right, they stink. But when you look at just a record, and you don't look at why, and I'm going to tell you something. I have a buddy right now whose wife is literally dying with cancer.
Oh, man.
And it's brutally sad. And we're struggling right now emotionally with dealing with feeling like, you know, she's worthless to her husband. And he's like, baby, I love you. I made vows to you. And you gave me beautiful children. You're a wonderful wife, and I'm here for you. You know why? Because there's a reason why she may not be the woman she was, and it's cancer. But if you just came around and wrote a story about, oh, she's a lazy wife, or she's not a good mom, you know what? That's pretty crappy because you didn't do your job. Find out why things happen. You know what? I'm paid to know this team. I'm paid to understand why stuff happens. I'm paid to tell the truth if somebody screws up. And I will, because that's my job.
Yeah.
But come on, have integrity.
I love it. Hondo Carpenter, you are bringing some heat. We're just now getting warmed up. Raider Nation in the chat. you have any more topics, throw them in there. But I got some stuff for you, Hondo, and I want to know, with the weapons that were added, you talked about a 56-yard dime to Henry Ruggs. I also want to know about their connection. I want to know about Brian Edwards coming in. I want to know about Lynn Bowden. What do you think about the weapons that are surrounding number 4 right now on this offense?
Well, let me just say this. If you enjoyed my first Black Hole, coming early next week is Black Hole 2.0.
Okay.
And hold on to your seat and get your popcorn, because if you thought that was a pick-me-up, 2.0 is going to be Viagra for your football soul, because I got a lot to talk about on that, and I'm going to talk about it in Black Hole 2. But let me just say this to you. I think one of the things that the Raiders did brilliantly, and I wrote about it in my Black Hole article last night, was Nelson Aguilar comes in. He's a great pro. He's a seasoned pro. And he's out there working with young guys. Marcus Mariota, what a pro. You know, he's back there working on his footwork while Derek's running with the first team. He's running the drill 10 yards back, but working on his footwork. When other guys are standing around waiting for the coaches, these veterans are working. Jason Witten, Jason Witten, I'm going to make this prediction right now. If he isn't coaching next year somewhere, he's going to still be playing. But he is going to be a coach, and he's going to be a great one. And I would love to see that guy in silver and black. And you can see him out on the field. And these guys, let me tell you what makes Darren Waller great. I wrote about it in my article about Cleveland Farrell. I'm watching Cleveland Farrell get coached up hard now, and he's loving it. Rather than taking a breather when a guy, needed a blow or had to get something looked at, he's jumping in, taking extra reps. That's what makes guys go from good to great. And Darren Waller, standing by Witten, wanting to hear what Witten's got to say, taking teaching, taking coaching. You see it all over this field. This is a team, folks. They're out there, and I'm from Michigan, and I'm a big guy, and I'm out there, and people will think that they're sausage and gravy because I'm sweating and they can smell the sausage. And these guys are out there playing football in 115, 110 degree heat. And they're out there jumping around. They're dancing. They're working with each other. You didn't see any bad attitudes. There was no me, me, me. It was we. This is what, I had a great talk. If you missed it, go back and listen to my podcast. I talked with the great Jim Otto on what it means to be a Raider. If he doesn't get you fired up and get you, your wood's wet. Because that guy gets the fire going. He brought a flamethrower. And Jim Otto talked about what it meant to be a Raider and a team. You could see that the other day at practice. These guys are working together, offensive players, defensive players. It was fighting. Now, they were fighting, and I don't mean fist fighting, but they were going at it, working hard. But it was a team. It was great. Again, that Henry Ruggs play I told you about, the whole team cheered like a bunch of kids. And let me say this, and I know that we're here in the desert, where you guys don't know what snow is, but when I was a boy growing up in Michigan, we would play football in the ice and the snow until your hands get so cold you couldn't feel them. And you just played because you love it. And you remember when the street lights came on, it was time to go home, and everybody just almost wanted to cry. I just had my reunion from my high school graduation recently, and it's 30 years. And you know what we talked about? It wasn't our dates at prom. It was playing football at 13 in the snow. About playing because you love the game. When I was standing there on the field, the thing that stood out to me, whether it was coaches or players, these weren't a bunch of spoiled brats. These were guys playing like a bunch of 13-year-olds who loved the game. And that's the difference. There are a lot of people around the NFL taking paychecks. But then there are the guys who would play for free. And I'm going to tell you this. Draymond Green for the Golden State Warriors, I've known Draymond since he was a young kid in school. Him and his mom, precious people. And you know what I hate about Draymond's critics? And I've known him a long time. I love Day Day. And but one thing I love about him is you may say, well, he goes over the top. He cares. He loves the game. If they said to Day-Day, listen, because of COVID, you're not going to get a paycheck, he'd be like, all right, when do we play? He loves the game. I salute him willing to go at KD and saying, if you're not going to give us your all, don't. Okay? I love guys like that. Kenny Stabler was like that. I love guys like Lyle Alzado, Howie Long, Matt freaking Millen. You know, I love the guys like Jeff Barnes. I mean, these guys who are Raider greats. And I'm going to tell you something. As I watched practice, I literally chuckled and thought, if Al Davis were here, he'd be floating 3 foot off the ground. And I had the privilege of meeting Al once, just once. But it was a great privilege. It was a great honor. He's an American icon. And it was a great, and you saw guys playing because they love it. They love it. They don't like it. They love it. And you know what? That's what makes championship teams. They love the game of football. You may hate Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's got more money than probably all of you put together and a wife that probably most of you would love to have. He doesn't have to still be playing. So love him or hate him, and I've met him, and I have I know lots of people who are close to him. Tom Brady plays football because he loves the game. If you can't respect that, then I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I want guys that love it. I don't want guys that are worried about what if I get injured and so I can't get a new contract next year. I saw guys who shouldn't have, and they were corrected by their coaches, diving for balls because they care, because it matters to them, because this team can smell it. I don't know what it's like here because I've lived here for just over 2 months and it's only rained once and it was in the middle of the night. But in Michigan, where I'm from, you can smell it when it's about to rain. Nobody believes that, but I'm telling you the God's honest truth. You can smell it when the rain's coming. And I'm going to tell you, I've been around the game of football a long time. Go read Jimmy Johnson's autobiography when he talked about stepping on the field at the Super Bowl and he said, I knew we were going to win. I'm going to tell you something, and hear me. This was a Raider team at practice that were like a bunch of 13-year-old kids playing because they loved it, and that excitement is because they know they're good. They know it. They can sense it. There's a sense of optimism, and it's not a fantasy optimism. It's the fact they know they're good. And I want to say something, because I've had some people say I don't like Marcus Mariota, and that's the dumbest thing. He is a wonderful human being, and I think he's a really good football player. You can't win in the NFL, usually, without 2 really good quarterbacks. And I want you to know, for everyone saying, oh, Derek's nervous. Derek's not nervous. Derek loves Marcus, and they get along great. You should see them talking in between plays. It's not like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. These guys are working together. They're talking about it. Those two are Raiders. They're Raiders. It's not a quarterback controversy. They're Raiders. And you want to have Marcus Mariota. And Derek Carr was excited to have. In fact, we have an article coming tomorrow about Derek being excited that Marcus is here. Why? Because Derek Carr was raised by good, wholesome American values that says you're loyal to the organization that signs your paycheck. Whether it's a casino here in Vegas, whether it's the Raiders, or whether you're a utility man in California, you're loyal to the company that signs your paycheck. And those guys are team players. They get it. They understand it. They're both great guys. Competition makes people better. Now, there isn't a quarterback controversy. And that's just the reality. It's not. But I'm telling you, it's good to have 2 good guys here. And when you look at this roster and you look at veterans who are on this roster, making guys better, offense, defense on both sides. John Gruden went out with Mike Mayock, and they got proven senior pros. Guys, because let me just say this. Jason Witten is not going to get you any yards after a catch. But Jason Witten is not expected to come in here and be a starter. He's going to come in here and get a great 5-yard check down throw. He's going to get tackled. He's not going to make mistakes. He's not going to drop the ball. He's a great, solid part of your football team. And he's also the guy that if somebody needs it, he's going to put a boot up their tail and say, get your crap together. And that young player is going to listen to him because they know he's a future Hall of Famer. You want that. You need that. And I don't mean to sound like Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men when he looks at Tom Cruise and says, but deep down inside of you, your cocktail parties and places that you don't want to admit, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. You want those veterans on your team. And guess what, Silver and Black? They're here. So while other teams are going to overpay for guys who will sell jerseys, they're not overpaying for anybody and bringing guys in that are going to win football games. And that's what being a Raider's about.
I freaking love it. Hondo Carpenter coming with some juice. But here's the thing. I mean, you're just rolling. There's nothing that I can even say right now that's going to be able to even add on to the sauce that you're dishing out here.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this because, Cody, this is important to me.
Okay.
I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate to cover the Raiders.
Yeah, we can sense it. Yeah.
2,000 miles. I moved 2,000 miles, and this was the only place I would have went to. So I care. It matters to me because if I'm going to do it, I'm all in. I love being a dad. If you follow me on Twitter, you're going to see my Fatherhood Rocks tweet because my children are a precious gift from God. I'm passionate about my faith. It's important to me. I'm not ashamed of it. The Lord wasn't ashamed of me, and I'm not ashamed of him. But I just want to say this, for people say to me, why are you so riled up about it? Because I care. Because if I'm going to invest my life, if I'm going to move 2,000 miles away from our entire family, I'm going to do it because I care. And I want to provide the best coverage for this team. I'm going to tell the truth. If someone said, well, you sound like a fan. I'm not. I'm just passionate. I get this passionate if I'm watching two people play checkers because I care. It's the way I live my life. I'm all in. Let me tell you, I just left a restaurant where I was all in attacking a 30-ounce prime rib. I'm all in, Cody. It's the only way I know how to live, baby.
Hey, there's no better fan base that you can be covering right now or talking to. The passion matches, Hondo. What you're bringing here, this energy. I get it. It's your first year covering the team, but like you said, you bring that passion to everything you do. Well, guess what? You're sitting in front of an audience, a fan base that has no more passion for their team. I mean, that's it. We're tapped out. We want this. I mean, guys, right now, I'm reading the comments in the chat. They're wanting me to turn the camera off and go take a break and let Hondo Deadeye Carpenter sit here and just dish it out because you are just rolling with it. They're asking for your it's at Hondo Carpenter on Twitter. I got a link in the description here to an article that we're talking about.
Hondo Carpenter Traditional Spelling.
Exactly. I got it right here on the screen. Just throw an at right in front of it. Delete that space. You're good to go. Raider Nation, this is the guy. It's interesting. Before we started recording here, I told Hondo, I'm like, look, you got a unique perspective. He's like, what do you mean I got a unique perspective? And I said, Hondo, this isn't something that we usually get, this passion. Normally it's, there's dry reporting. Shout out to Raider Nation Radio for coming out because normally we don't even get stuff over the airwaves that can satisfy our needs. Now, we're going into Vegas and for whatever reason, hey, cool. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to ask any questions. We're getting good coverage. We're getting satisfying radio. We're getting things that we've deserved for a long time as a very passionate and probably the best fans in the world. So Hondo, I want you to wrap this thing up because, like I said, you're coming with some juice, but I'm going to squeeze out whatever bit of juice you got left here. And I want to know why this fan base, why Raider Nation should be fired up for 2020.
Several reasons. I mentioned one earlier. There's talent everywhere on this roster. Now, I'm not going to lie. They're not a Super Bowl team. The great Tom Izzo is a good friend of mine, as you know, the great Michigan State basketball coach, said that one of the hardest parts about young players is they have to learn to win. That's why you bring in a Witten and an Algoar and you bring in all of these great veterans that they brought in. Guys have to learn how to win. Okay, so they're not there yet. And I'm not trying to pretend that they're a Super Bowl team there. But they're close. And the next step is getting in the playoffs. And so that's the first step. You should be excited at the discipline the management and leadership of the Raiders has shown. The Raiders in the past, I believe, made some mistakes with free agents and some draft picks because they were sexy, but it was all sizzle. And
whoop. I think I lost him. And you're back.
What did you say? Sorry about that. So in the past, they've made some decisions that were all sizzle but not a lot of steak. They fixed it, and they're disciplined. You know this, great organizations, whether it's football teams, whether it's churches, whether it's businesses, whether it's families, everything rises and falls with leadership. And so the most impressive thing has been the leadership of the Raiders, number one. And that starts at the very top. But then you go into the guys leading this team, the veterans that they brought in. There is a ton of great, talented players. And folks, in the NFL, you saw last year, you don't win without talent and lots of it, because guys get injured. This is a violent sport. I'm sorry to all you people who hate football, who want to destroy football. Baseball, with all due respect to one of the greatest leaders, Howie Long, who said it best, baseball is America's pastime. Football is America's passion. This game is violent. That's the way this game is played. It is played by grown men doing things to each other that anywhere else other than that sacred field they would go to prison for. This is a game that's not for the weak. This is a game of the ultimate capitalist venture of, buyer beware, carpe diem. May the best team win it all. That's what I love about sports. At the end of the day, just win, baby. It's just who wins. And you know what? You can't win without great players, great leadership, and you can't win without a lot of them, and they've got them, number one. Number two, they're hungry. These guys are hungry. And you cannot mistake what hunger means. I remember watching when Michael Jordan finally got over the top and beat the Detroit Pistons. Every time the Pistons beat them, they got sassy because they were the Raiders of the NBA, and God bless those Pistons, the bad boys. I love them. I cut my teeth on those teams. I loved them. Friends with several guys from that era. But Jordan was hungry. And what made Jordan awesome is Jordan never lost his hunger. This team is hungry. For you older people, Cody, we exclude you from this. I'm sorry, I need to educate you. Go rent a video or do your Netflix and get it, or however you kids get your movies these days. Go watch Rocky. Go watch Rocky 3 with Clubber Lang. Eye of the Tiger. They've got it. If that doesn't get you excited, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Go root for the Chiefs. You can have your nice little earmuffs. And I love the Chiefs. Great team. Well put together. But I'm just saying, if you're a Raider, put on the shoulder pad with the spikes. Paint your face silver and black. Get another tattoo. Give your kid a towel that says Raider Nation. Buy your wife a shirt. Get your merchandise, and I don't get a dime for it, and wear it with pride. Let everyone know we're back.
Fire me up. Inject that in my veins, Hondo. I love it. I love the energy. The chat's going to agree. We're going to make this happen way more often. Hondo, I want to talk to you as much as possible. Your coverage, your energy, it's perfect. It's exactly what the fan base needs, and I'm going to utilize that as much as I possibly can. Buddy, it was great talking to you. I know we're going to do this often, but I definitely look forward to the next time already, man. And
please, pay close attention. Black Hole 2.0 coming next week. If you like this one, you're going to love that one. Plenty of more information
coming soon. Hondo, thanks for joining us. I don't even know how I'm going to keep this same energy rolling, but I'm going to do my best, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Man, now what? Now what are we supposed to do here? You got me all fired up, man. I just want to be like, Raiders! Come on, man. I'm way too fired up right now. You got me sitting here antsy. And hey, man, this is what he does. This is what Hondo does. This is what he gets paid to do, right? He gets you fired up. Obviously, that's his niche. But sitting here containing me in this little seat where I'm supposed to stay quiet so you could hear him, it just doesn't work for me. I'm way too amped. And to be 30 days away from Raiders football or something like that? We're like a month away. Way too amped. This needs to hurry up and get here, man. I hope you guys are chanting. that with me too while you get that going. Need a Manscaped commercial. Hey, you know what? While we're here, because we're going to take a break. We're going to transition into a little Q&A. I want to talk about some things from training camp as well, just things that I'm seeing. While we're here, hey, Manscaped, 20% off. Use promo code right down there at the bottom. 20% off. Promo code RaiderCody, manscaped.com. Get yourself something. Get yourself a little spritzer, right? Get a little deodorant for down there. Women will love it. Well, while we're speaking of things like that, I had a proud husband moment today. Very proud husband moment. And it's not very often I come on here and I talk about my wife because it's a Raider show. But Diego says he feels like trucking Trent Brown. Well, that's got to be pretty hyped up because it's going to take a lot for me to want to do that. Now, my wife, she works on every Saturday. She works in a little hut. They family-owned business, and they have it's like a drive-through, right? Drive-through window. Chargers fan pulls up to the drive-through window, and she's there, and she's just decked out. And that's what I love about her because she didn't convert to a Raider fan until she married me. So she has a Raider tank top on. She might have a Raider hat. I forget what she was wearing at that time. She had, their mask on, had a Raider mask, and had the shield and everything. Said Raider Nation on one side, had the shield on the other. And a Chargers fan comes pulling up, and she was just kind of like, they were kind of just like joking with her, and she just said sorry, we don't serve Chargers fans here. Just joking around, whatever. So he goes on to, basically try and make small talk. Because obviously he probably doesn't stand a chance against a Raiders fan. And you see a girl Raider fan or a girl football fan, men, sometimes you think you got an advantage here, right? Well, not if you're a Chargers fan. So this Chargers fan, he says, it's sad that there's not going to be any fans in the stadium this year. So I'm just like, as soon as she told me that part of the story, I'm like, alley-oop. And she says, well, luckily, the Chargers have the most experience playing in an empty stadium. And I said, that's my girl right there. That's my wife, straight up, Chargers fan. So, yeah, she found one of the Infinity Stone Charger fans, one of 6. You got to collect them all. Definitely interesting. So, shout out to the wife, man. Proud husband moment. So, we're going to take this quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about training camp, go into a few things, Q&A. We'll see where this thing leads us. Quick break. That'll be for the commercial area. Like I said earlier, if you want some of the good promotional deals that I'm bringing to you with NFL Sunday Ticket, if you want 50% off NFL Sunday Ticket, I can't tell you here on YouTube, but you can go back and listen to the podcast and get the deal there. So I will say a few things that have been happening this week. First was, I guess, hearing about Michael Kendricks, right? The former, I guess that would be longtime Minnesota Viking. Last year was a Seattle Seahawk. Then he tore his ACL, I think week 16 or week 17, one of the last weeks of the season last year. Obviously, I guess he's fully recovered for the most part, but bringing him in now, testing the waters. I guess they were in negotiations, didn't come to an agreement, didn't happen. I'd say, maybe we are looking for some bodies at linebacker. I would still sit here and probably pound the table for some Will Compton. Can you give me some Will Compton here? I think that's definitely something I would rather explore in that sense. Ending the season healthy, knowing the scheme, knowing Paul Guenther, being able to, sub out. But Will Compton being the dude that he is, just speculation, I'd imagine. A guy like him going into a COVID season like this, something completely different, he could just wait. He could wait it out and see what happens. I think he's, probably been in talks with the Raiders, but Raiders are in talks with a lot of players. So we just got to see how things play out. Michael Kendricks didn't work out. I'd love to see me some Will Compton, the silver and black again. Depends on how, everything shakes out. But for now, Michael Kendricks, no. Big shout out to our guy, Darren Waller. Obviously, Hondo talked a lot about Darren Waller and, his performance on the field. I want to give a shout out and just say congrats on 3 years of sobriety. That's huge, absolutely huge. Obviously, I think that was he came out, like a mid-round pick, had some upside, had some talent. Obviously, a physical freak, was like a wide receiver. Now he's turned tight end. You can tell that's kind of his style of game. One of the modern era tight ends. But shout out to Darren Waller for the sobriety, man. That's been a big part, and I think a reason that he's pretty much a fan favorite. I mean, yeah, you put up numbers on Sunday, that's one thing, but you could even be like kind of mediocre and just be on the roster, and carrying that kind of weight, I think would make him a fan favorite. So for him to be above and beyond and take his talent to the next level, it's amazing for Darren Waller. So shout out, man. Shout out to D-Wall and all the projects in the future, man, for them beats. Tyrell Williams is back 100%, and that's cool. I like having Tyrell Williams back because that's what we were waiting on last year. It's crazy because last year, we're talking about him having plantar fasciitis in the 1 foot. Little did we know at the end of the season he had plantar fasciitis in both feet, so it was extremely limiting, obviously, for his game. But him coming back 100%, I'm going to say, just because he's coming back 100%, he's got a talent sniffing at his heels and a guy that it would fit right in his spot, basically, to kind of take over that position. He's got some competition there. Young guy, Bryan Edwards. And everybody's talking about Bryan Edwards. Literally everybody is talking about Bryan Edwards. Raider Bati coming in. Who has the second coolest Raiders podcast? Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with Fallon Smith's Keeping It 300. Fallon Smith's Keeping It 300, I would say. In my opinion. I mean, I'll go ahead. I'll put myself as number one coolest podcast because I feel like I have to, right? I don't know. I'd put her there. I like Fallon. James Jones, shout out. Shout out to Blue Wire, right, as well. So getting that competition in there, and everybody's talking about Bryan Edwards. I feel like he's sniffing at the heels. And had it not been for this COVID season, obviously it's nice to have Tyrell Williams around, but whenever you look at next year, like, he's right at that edge of his contract where in 2021, if he's not on the roster, it's like $2 million in dead cap. Not much. Kind of the same on the other side of the ball with LaMarcus Joyner. We got two stiff competitions right there, wide receiver and corner, with Bryan Edwards going at Tyrell Williams and Amik Robertson hungry, and looking at LaMarcus Joyner, in which John Gruden, I believe, called out, was it yesterday? I forget when it was. John Gruden kind of called out, not really called him out, but did say that, the nickel corner, that slot corner, that position that they paid LaMarcus Joyner to play should be, the first or second, should lead first or second in tackles on the defense. So for him to maybe be like seventh, I think, is how he finished off the season, not good. So that's kind of where I see this as, like, maybe John Gruden kind of called him out. Didn't necessarily produce. Can Amik Robertson be that guy? I think so. Of course, you just got to get in there and see what kind of mentality they have. But I would say Amik Robertson definitely has that little bit of like a young bull mentality, like a lot of these young guys that we drafted. So the chat's going wild, guys. I'm going to try and keep up with the chat here. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in. If you guys have a question, drop it on in there. Josh Jacobs has a goal of 60 receptions this year. 60. And that's what really the only thing he was missing last year. Yeah, the shoulder. And I think everyone tries to say the shoulder because he couldn't pick his hands up, right, to catch the ball. I'm not sure that's the case because I don't know if they necessarily wanted him in there on passing downs, because catching a pass is one thing, but picking up blocks. And if you're nursing a sore shoulder and don't want to, rough it up, I would say, you want to not have him out there just picking up blocks. Jalen Richard did a great job filling in his place. Jalen Richard, I think that's been his expertise, is picking up blitzes, picking up, loose pass rushers. Been amazing. So I would say Josh Jacobs is a top 3 fantasy football pick this year, guys. Top 3. I mean, as me as a Raider fan, I'm a little crazy. And I'm a guy that whenever I play fantasy football, and some people might harp on me, some people might say you're a homer, whatever, it's cool. I never start if I have, let's say, week 1. Say I have Christian McCaffrey on my roster. I will bench Christian McCaffrey because he's playing the Raiders. I do this I don't draft Chargers, Chiefs, or Broncos. And if I do, I trade them off like immediately. I use them as trade bait. Like they got to be like at a good deal, and I want to trade them off. I don't want any of those guys on my roster. And then I'd never want to start guys that are, basically playing against us. First question. I'll pick up. Slightly amused. Cody, do you think we need more left tackle depth? No. I mean, yeah, you could always use a good, solid backup. But in my opinion, whenever it comes to things like that, no, I think we're good. Our offensive line is solid. Our offensive line is absolutely solid. And Colton Miller, for the most part, yeah, he went through those knee sprains, but he's been a stud to stay out there on the field and stay playing. Last year, I think he took a big jump forward staying healthy, and I expect him to take another big jump again going into year 3. So Colton Miller holding down, I think, left side just fine, and I'd love to see now kind of the same out of Trent Brown. Of course, he just needs to stay on the field. Absolute stud. Get him out there 16 games. Right side's locked up. Colton Miller does his job. Left side's locked up, and we got the beast in the middle. I have no concerns really with anything on the offense at all. I think I'm good on offense, 100%. I mean, the only thing I would sit here and maybe complain about is you can never have enough pass rushers, right? When you're looking at the offensive line, you're not rotating guys in and out. Defensive line, you're rotating guys in and out. So I'd like to see some more pass rushers getting in there. A few more topics, guys. So if you want to get in here and drop some questions before I wrap the show up, get after it. So I got a few more minutes here. I'm going to keep this thing going. One thing I'm excited to hear about is Damon Arnett taking snaps with the first team defense. He's going opposite of Trayvon Mullen, something that you expect that out of a first round corner. No matter what, you expect that. You'd think he'd go out there and automatically be the starter. But like we all know, it's just a weird season. So maybe you think like the signing of Prince Amukamara, maybe he could be a guy that could start week 1 or week 2 and let Damon get acclimated to the position. But obviously, I think we seem pretty comfortable. It's something that is kind of rare, I would say, but it seems recently in the last couple of years we've been pretty confident in our draft class, and we start throwing these rookies out there, man, with some pretty big loads, especially our early round guys. So I'm definitely interested to see who all turns up here. Let me give a shout out real quick. I don't know who's in the chat here. I'm hoping Grizz Turner and Lucille are in the chat because we talk about how amazing this fan base is, right? Well, here's 2 guys. Henry Ruggs wearing, if you see our moderator in the chat, Grizz Turner or Grizz NFL. I don't know I forget what his name is exactly here on YouTube. That's Grizz right there on Henry Ruggs. He's got a Grizz Turner t-shirt. And then over there you got Max Crosby wearing a Lucille shirt. How freaking amazing is that, guys? Like, how many fan bases can say that the players are so amped up about their fans that they do stuff like this? So shout out, man. That's awesome. That's what it's about, being loyal, to your team. And like I said, criticizing and stuff, not saying that's not being loyal. Criticism's always fair. I'll criticize every single player. I mean, we could work on. We can talk about something that every single player needs to work on. I mean, honestly. I mean, Josh Jacobs knows, obviously, it's his receptions. He was held back by injury. Okay. Derek Carr, I'd say it's taking more chances and getting better and taking more risks in the red zone. And I think he understands that, and he's going to get better. Tyrell Williams, his jump ball, his 50-50 ball, he can get better. Max Crosby, it's hard to find something with Max Crosby because we know he was underdeveloped. But obviously that was something he needed to work on. He needed to bulk up. Criticism, that's fine. You can do this all day long. We can talk about it respectfully. But whenever it comes to bashing and getting personal shots and going after someone's character, that's where we have an issue. These guys, prime example. Be good to your players. Grizz Turner, man, has been on the Henry Ruggs train before anybody. Henry Ruggs saw that, and he recognizes it, man. That's his buddy. Lucille, obviously, if you guys don't know, the legend of Lucille coming out with the Max Crosby jersey, just fitting the vibe. So shout out, man, to Max Crosby, Henry Ruggs, showing some love to the fan base. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're so passionate. Fire us up. Get Raider shields tattooed on your arms. We're going to keep buying your gear. We're going to buy your jerseys. We're going to, sell out stadiums whenever they let us back in. So that's good stuff, guys. Some good stuff. I saw a question come through here. I think I lost it. Oh, how hot is Paul Gunther's seat? I would say pretty hot. But here's the thing: is I've kind of been on this kick for a while, just like everybody else. Rod Marinelli coming in kind of just like spells, who knows what's going to happen next with Paul Guenther. I think it could be something better, and I think that this whole thing can turn into being something great as a duo. I still kind of have that sense that Rod Marinelli's not just going to sit back and be, a defensive line coach, to finish out his career. I think he could have his eyes on being a defensive coordinator again because he did well in Dallas. That just all comes down to Paul Guenther. I think he could have the hottest seat on the team, in my opinion. But I have faith with the talent because looking back at how well the defense finished last year, in all honesty, we had a lot of injuries all across the board. The offense started struggling late with injuries. The defense was struggling most of the season because their injuries started week 1. So if we can get them back healthy with added talent, Paul Guenther and his scheme could really, I think, open up. I think his playbook could really open up for us, and we could have a lot coming with Paulie G. I think that's it, guys. I think we're going to wrap this thing up. A lot of people are still hating on, my AFC West deal. Soon, while you guys are sitting here watching, if you're watching this and you did not catch all of Hondo's conversation with me, you need to go back. You need to listen. That was the highlight of the show. Getting Hondo on here was amazing. Dude can just go. He can ramble. And it's all great information. Good stuff. Make sure you go back and listen to the full Hondo Carpenter interview. You can watch it here on YouTube again, or you can go back. I should have it on a podcast platform here in about an hour or so. So soon, I am happy to announce that we will be setting up live callers for our post-game shows. So when we go live, it's going to be, I'm just wrapping the tail end of the show up. No other some serious Raiders content. When a Raider game ends on Sundays, jump on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, whatever, wherever you listen, and we're going to be live, and we're going to be going through it. I'll have rotating guests. We'll have Kenny King in here, of course. We'll have Eddie Borsili. We'll have Hondo jumping in here. We'll have different guys, different contributors that are going to come in here. We're going to talk about the post game. We're gonna hit things we're going to strike while the iron's hot, and we're going to listen to you as well. We're going to have a chance. I'm going to have a hotline set up here, to where the first half of the show we're going to cover the game. The second half of the show we're going to hear from the listeners. So we're going to sit down. We're going to take calls. And we're going to get to your guys' reactions, and we're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to talk about however you guys felt about the game. Immediate reaction. Within an hour after the game, you guys will have a chance to be on the phone, chatting with me and maybe whoever else is on with me, and we will talk about the game and get fired up, get frustrated, and see where that takes us. Pre-game shows. Only time I'll probably do a pre-game show is if we're in Vegas. That'll be the only time I do a pre-game show, and I don't know if that's going to happen other than maybe the home opener. Something. We'll see. Pre-game shows are kind of hard. I like to do a post-game because you can go back and watch it the rest of the week. So, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody. I saw you, Eddie Sonjoku. If you see Sonjoku in the chat, make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. I just found out today that he has his own live stream talking about the Raiders. Subscribe to Sonjoku. Eddie Munoz, shout out everybody that's been active in the chat over and over again. We'll be doing this again. I'm out of town next Saturday. Maybe I'll try and put together a video pre-recorded or something, put it out next Saturday night for you guys while I'm out of town. We'll see. We'll do something. Otherwise, every other Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you here until we do some post games, and we'll have some midweek stuff during the season here in 4 weeks. So, Raider Nation, thanks for tuning in. Shout out to Hondo Deadeye Carpenter, and we will see you guys next week.